Hey guys, welcome back to Pixel Rich Games. In this episode of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, let's look closer at the combat skills and abilities of the Princess of Hyrule, Zelda, when equipped with a bow. Let's kick this off like we usually do by having a look first at her information panel. We have two types of attack in Age of Calamity, Y for regular attacks and X for strong attacks. The arrows we see here indicate the different attacks that we can chain as combos. Now before we have a look at Zelda's attack patterns, I just want to bring your attention to this line right here. Enemies surrounded by rings of light take increased damage from arrows of light. Let's skip the unique action for now to avoid mixing in too much information all at once. That said, let's have a look at her attack patterns as we get the rings from specific attacks and combos. Here's her 7 consecutive regular attacks. Just to break this down, the 5th Y is the standing race, the 6th is the pulsing orb that sucks in normal monsters, and the 7th regular attack fires multiple light beams. 6 Ys is what we need to take note of, as this is the first on the list that adds the light ring debuff on enemies. Here's her X, which is a pretty decent long range attack that also applies the debuff to enemies. Now that we're familiar with this debuff ray mechanic, I want to quickly swing back to her information panel to look at her unique ability. ZR basically makes her switch from normal to Luminescent Form. Now this line right here is confusing, but it's the whole mechanic of Luminescent Form. Let me explain this in English. Activating Luminescent Form consumes our special attack gauges, like a countdown timer, pretty simple. While we're in this form, we lose all our XY combos. Our attacks all go straight to the different finishers of our combos. That's the strong attack that the vague line was referring to. Another thing to note about our Luminescent Form, we still receive damage in this form, but most attacks do not stagger us, meaning they don't cancel whatever we're doing while it's active. The downside to this mode is it disables us from guarding. No sprint mode, so no dash attacks either. We can still dodge, but no wall jumps and no flurry rush. Now that's out of the way, let's resume looking through our attack combinations. 1Y straight to an X ends with a triangle of vertical light beams that leaves Zelda midair and in position for some other options that we will talk about a bit later. Does this combo apply the debuff? Nope. In Luminescent mode, pressing X executes this finisher. YYX ends with placing an obvious trap on the ground. Now this one applies our light ring debuff. In Luminescent Form, we trigger this with ZL plus B. YYYX finishes with Zelda firing her bow upward to deliver a rain of lights. It's my favorite one in terms of how it looks, but not when fighting boss monsters. This doesn't apply the debuff. In Lumi mode, we activate this move by pressing Y. 4Ys to an X makes Zelda throw out what I wanna call a solar bomb. Now this bomb applies the debuff. ZL plus X triggers this in Lumi mode. Another thing to note is this move does the most damage among all the moves in Luminescent mode when spammed. Just make sure to create enough distance from the boss before spamming to avoid accidentally activating our weak point attack if Lumi mode becomes your preferred mode. Like most characters in the game, 5Ys to an X and 6Ys to an X have the same finishing move. This makes Zelda wave her bow like a magic wand before firing light arrows. This combo exposes enemy weak point meters. The bow animation doesn't apply the debuff, so if an enemy boss doesn't have it yet, it's better to use the longer version with 6Ys to apply the debuff with, well, the 6th Y. The Lumi version of this doesn't expose the weak point meter, so it cannot be used and abused. This is activated with ZL plus Y. Now we've reached the part of the video where I talk about the moves that aren't on the information panel. Like all characters, we have the ability to wall jump. There isn't a button in this game to make a character jump. What we need to do is dash towards a structure by pressing B, then the option to wall jump will pop up, telling us to press B again if we want to jump. Once airborne, whether from a wall jump or an attack that launched us, we have a good number of options of what we can do next. Our first option is to simply fly away like a real princess, which I use to either avoid fights when I'm in a hurry or to reposition myself in a boss fight. Next, we can do up to 3 regular attacks that make Zelda wave her hands again like she's an orchestra conductor. The third Y does apply the debuff. We can also follow up with the Ys with the next or simply go straight to it. And this makes Zelda fire multiple light arrows mid-air before she drops back to the ground. While in sprint mode, this princess has 2 new attacks available to her. Here's her dash in regular attack, and here's her dash in strong attack. This attack is actually pretty awesome. This doesn't cancel sprint mode, and this applies the light ring debuff to enemies in the affected area. Since royalty don't normally take the front line in battles, Zelda was not trained to use a shield. Thus, we lose the ability to perform perfect guards. If you don't know what that is, check out my guide to one-handed weapon link. Links in the description. Well, that was just in my imagination, so if it doesn't match Zelda lore or canon, just ignore what I said. Well, even if we lost perfect guard, we'll still have access to Flurry Rush. This can be triggered by dodging with B right as a boss is about to hit us. Once it triggers, we just mash Y to destroy their weak point meter. Now it's time to look at Zelda's rune abilities. We can activate a rune by holding R and then pressing X, Y, A, or B. R plus X activates stasis. Both Zelda's version of stasis cannot be animation cancelled with dodge, but can be used effectively to demolish weak point meters by activating it when a weak point meter is exposed, then mashing Y. This also places our debuff to enemies, which makes it even better. Meaning this is a good follow-up to our 5 Ys to X combo. Let me demonstrate this later in the vid. R plus Y activates Remote Bomb. This makes Zelda throw 5 remote bombs in front of her. These bombs also apply our debuff to enemies. R plus A is for Cryonis. This creates 4 ice pillars in front of Zelda. Our last rune is Magnesis that can be activated with R plus B. This makes Zelda create her mini version of Saturn and damages enemies around it while applying our debuff. We finally reached my favorite part of the video! Princess Zelda has 2 common weak point attack animations when she's not throwing a pity party. Here's the first. And here's the second. Next is our special attack. So once we fully charge our stamina bar by killing monsters, we're able to perform a special attack by pressing A. Not only does the special attack deal a ton of damage, we can also use this to avoid damage from big attacks that we're about to receive when caught off guard. When a boss is about to hit us, we can simply press A, and once the animation starts, the attack that was about to hit us will be cancelled. Aside from all of these good stuff, after getting hit with a special attack, a boss will have its weak point meter exposed and waiting to be abused. Now, as promised earlier, here's a demonstration of how our 5 Ys to an X chained to stasis can destroy weak point meters. Given all these information, I have 3 sealed build recommendations depending on how you want to play Zelda. First is going full attack speed. This is best if your playstyle doesn't rely too much on Zelda's unique action. I don't bother matching our hidden seal with another hexagon seal to get the damage bonus, as I feel I'll be losing more if I do, since I love playing boss maps. It's basically trading attack speed for a seal that does nothing in a map with just bosses. If you prefer to play with more of Zelda's unique ability, I would recommend replacing 1 or 2 attack speed seals with special attack charge rate seals. For longer maps with wave after wave of monsters, I'd go with attack speed seals and 1 or 2 damage per 100 KOs. This also matches the first hidden seal on our sealing bow, which is healing item effect, or the second seal on a bow of light, which is heal a percentage of damage dealt. Now let me demonstrate how I use Zelda in this Lionel excerpt from A Natural Disaster in very hard difficulty setting. Click here to watch my full guide to the Monk of Monks, Monk Mask Shia. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to get notified for more Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity content. Stay tuned for my next vid, stay healthy, keep safe, and God bless us all.